The Christmas of 1977 was a miracle for 15-year-old Marissa, as she got the most special gift of her life. She was finally united with her biological sister, and her life was taking a huge step forward, only to see it all end within 3 months. On March 28, 1978, after spending a wonderful weekend with her sister, her battered and lifeless body was discovered near Sutro Heights Park in San Francisco. Investigation into the awful tragedy began right away, but the detectives had no idea that it would take more than 40 years to crack the case. What could have happened on Marissa's trip to San Francisco? And today we'll be solving a cold case of 15-year-old Marissa Harvey, who was discovered dead in the city of San Francisco. But before we unravel the case, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's investigate Marissa Harvey's tragic case. With a diversity of scenic splendor, San Francisco really is a place that attracts people from around the world. Nestled between the Golden Gate Bridge and the rolling hills of the Bay Area, the city boasts a diverse landscape that ranges from bustling streets to pristine beaches and scenic parks. The area is a hub of excitement and fast-paced living, with a myriad of opportunities for work, a thriving social scene that never sleeps, and a bustling entrepreneurial culture that keeps the energy high and the innovation flowing. San Francisco, with its allure, contrasts, and enigmatic tales, remains a city where dreams and realities intertwine. It is still considered one of the safest large cities in the country, with a relatively low rate of violent crime. Yet Sutro Heights Park, which is a historic public park in the outer Richmond district of western San Francisco, became the stage for one of the most tragic cold cases in the history of the nation, when the battered and bruised body of a 15-year-old girl was discovered in 1978. Marissa Rolfe Harvey was born in 1963, someplace in New York. She was an orphan, and there was no way of knowing who her biological family members were. Very little was known about her life before being adopted by a family residing in Port Washington, New York, when she was 3 years old. According to Marguerite Schultz, Marissa's adoptive mother, Marissa was a very special, very different little girl. Marissa was a true adventurer at heart, and nothing brought her more joy than exploring new horizons on horseback. Whether she was galloping through the rolling hills of her hometown, or pedaling through the scenic landscapes of Europe during the summers of '76 and '77, Marissa was always seeking her next adventure. Not only did she possess an adventurous spirit, but she also had a compassionate heart. She was known to spend long hours shoveling snow for her elderly neighbors, always ready to lend a helping hand to those in need. Although she began to live a happy life with her new family, deep inside she had a secret desire to learn more about her biological family. Years passed, and Marissa soon was 15 years old. Then, on that fateful Christmas day of 1977, the tides of fate began to shift. Little did she know that the course of her life was about to take an unexpected turn. The festive spirit was in full swing as Marissa's family celebrated December 25, 1977. A mysterious woman named Miriam Wadif arrived at Marissa's family's home in Port Washington. Miriam made a shocking claim. She was Marissa's long-lost biological sister. She revealed that she had embarked on a relentless quest with the help of a professional research company to track down her beloved younger sister. And now, standing before Marissa, Miriam extended an invitation, urging her to take a trip to San Francisco to meet her long-lost biological family. Was this a Christmas miracle or an ill-fated incident? Marissa wouldn't miss this opportunity, as she was eager to get in touch with her biological family members. The teenager's parents initially hesitated at the thought of letting her go to California by herself, but they eventually agreed. According to her adoptive mother, they didn't really want Marissa to leave, but they felt it would be unfair for her if they didn't let her go. But before allowing it, they had asked Miriam, her sister, to take care of her. With the Easter break approaching in 1978, her parents considered that it would be the perfect opportunity for Marissa to embark on a journey. Marissa eagerly awaited her Easter break, counting down the days until her solo trip to San Francisco. Finally, the stage was set and she was ready to go. It was a crisp Friday morning, March 24, 1978, as the plane touched down at San Francisco International Airport. Miriam greeted Marissa with open arms at the airport and brought her to the apartment she was living in. Marissa was more than excited to join her sister for the remainder of the holiday. After spending some of the most amazing days with her sister, it was almost time to return home. But she was not done having fun. On the last day of her trip, on March 27th, she requested Miriam to take her horseback riding. At such an innocent request, Miriam couldn't say no to her little sister and had to comply. However, her job was in the way. She was a graduate student and instructor at the San Francisco Institute and had to go back to work. So she requested a friend to take Marissa to the stables on her behalf. Unaware that the stables were closed that day, her sister's friend dropped her off at the Golden Gate Park stables. When Miriam got back home from work, she was shocked to see that Marissa was not home yet. She immediately reported her sister missing. That weekend was supposed to be a special weekend for Marissa, and what she deserved was a good ending to the time spent with her sister. Instead, tragedy struck. It was meant to be the last day with her sister in San Francisco, but little did anyone know that it would be the last day of her life. The following evening, on March 28, 1978, a young man walking at dusk in the Sutro Heights Park near the Cliff House noticed a pair of tiny feet coming out of a bush and dialed 911. The police reached the place and found Marissa's lifeless body in a bush alongside a pedestrian trail. She was identified by her sister Miriam. Seeing Marissa's lifeless body, it was quite obvious to the police that she was a victim of assault. According to the report made by Coroner Boyd Steffen, she had been badly beaten and strangled with a cord-like device after she was violated. The police thoroughly investigated the vicinity to look for clues, but to no avail. The San Francisco Police Department oversaw an investigation that made use of the most advanced technologies at the time and followed every lead. They discovered a DNA sample from the crime scene. However, in the absence of superior technologies during the time, the evidence found failed to help them further progress the investigation. Despite how soon authorities were able to recover her body and collect all the evidence that was available, investigators were unable to identify any suspects. With a lack of evidence and no lead to follow on, the case almost immediately got cold. For 42 years, the case stayed dormant until it was reopened by the department's cold case team in October 2020. The family of a teenage girl who was killed more than 4 decades ago is finally getting some closure. San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott expressed his feelings in a statement, saying that for more than 4 decades, Marissa Harvey's family members had been relentless advocates to bring her killer to justice. He firmly felt that the conclusion to the case had been long overdue, and their family deserved answers immediately. The police used advanced investigative methods to resume their search for the killer, but they did not elaborate further on the methods. However, a collaborative task force made up of the SFPD Homicide Unit, the San Francisco District Attorney's Office, the FBI, and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office in Colorado further investigated the case. According to San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Bowden, the case was solved after investigators accessed a third-party DNA database and discovered genetic material from a relative, which helped identify a 76-year-old man named Mark Personet. The hard work by the police and further search in the case paid off, and just over 1 year later, on March 15, 2021, his DNA matched with a DNA sample found at the crime scene by the police. So on the same day, SFPD apprehended Personet in suburban Denver. He got arrested by the police 35 miles southwest of his residence in Conifer, Colorado. After the arrest, a joint operation by San Francisco Police, the FBI, and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office was scheduled. Personet was charged with 1 count of homicide on Thursday, December 16, 2021. In order to determine whether Personet could be connected to any other unsolved killings of young women involving physical violation, San Francisco Police stated they were urging all police departments nationwide to search for available records. The departments also made available Personet's old booking images, including many taken by police in New Jersey. When Personet's neighbors were questioned about him during an interview, they said that while they didn't think he would commit such a terrible act, a little shocked, a little scared that we've been living near that. It's crazy what you don't know about people. Avery Aubin, a neighbor, claimed that Personet was truly a strange individual and described an instance in which Personet walked down the street backwards. He was always a little off. He would always walk down the road backwards. And just like really weird stuff. Ralph Brandt, another neighbor, claimed that Personet was friendly enough, but a little odd. Though he was friendly enough, just a little. According to online records, Personet was imprisoned in Jefferson County without bail for the murder of a little girl and had a hearing set for January 10, 2022. It wasn't immediately clear if he had a lawyer. In the court hearing on January 10, 2022, it was brought to light that Personet was earlier detained for assaults that took place during October and November 1979 in the New Jersey cities of Somerville, Bernards Township, and Hopewell Township. One of these allegations arose from his allegedly luring a 16-year-old girl into his car on the pretense of providing her a ride, taking her to the woods in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, where he assaulted and physically violated her. Despite being attacked, the victim made it to a nearby house where she sought assistance. She was able to give a thorough account of her assailant and the car he was driving. SF Gate, a San Francisco Bay Area local news source, claimed that Personet was arrested and charged with aggravated assault in 1980. But he escaped before the case went to trial. After all these years, he was again in for the same situation. However, this time, he could not escape. On Thursday, January 21, 2022, Personet appeared in court in San Francisco for the murder of Marissa Harvey. When the Associated Press left a message for his lawyer Adam Gassner to respond, no reply from his side came through. Later, Gassner stated that Personet had entered a not guilty plea to the charges. According to him, the case was an extremely old case that required a detailed and in-depth defense investigation. Despite that, in January 2022, he was formally accused of killing 15-year-old Marissa. Although more details about the case were not made public, it was certain that Personet would be held accountable. According to San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Bowden, the police department was making every effort to ensure that Personet would receive severe punishment for the horrific deeds that had claimed Marissa's life. They were determined to offer her family some measure of comfort. It took 44 years for the perpetrator to be identified after a long hunt for justice. By the year 2022, Marissa would have turned 59, possibly a grandmother, and probably with her own family. She was only a little girl when her bright future was stolen from her. What would you consider to be the ideal resolution to this tragic tale then? Let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video and please subscribe to the channel. And also hit the bell icon to be the first to unravel different cold cases from around the world. Only on the Cold Case Files.